Hi there. I'm Diane Lee, Marketing and Communications Director here at ISI, and today I am joined by our Director of Education, Lindsay Geiger. Welcome, Lindsay.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me.
We should have been on at noon, as you probably know. However, we had a technical glitch, and I have to say, if you knew anything about me, you know that I'm technically challenged, so it's all my fault. But we're here now, ready to go live and talk about the exciting webinar schedule we have for 2021. And literally, we are going to go directly from the months. So we're going to start right with the month that we're in, and that is February. We've got one coming up really soon, and Lindsay has all that information. Lindsay, tell us what we need to know about this upcoming webinar.
Sure. So we're very excited about our whole program of webinars that we will be launching in 2021. Diane's just announced our full webinar schedule. So if you haven't seen that in your inbox, you can check out our website, and we've got some links that we can share with you for getting that. But Diane's right, we've got a great one kicking off our 2021 schedule on February 24th. We will be joined by Frank Shurko. Frank wears many hats. For this webinar, he is going to be using his experience from academia to tell us about how you can build a great team, how you can diversify different behavior styles that you really are getting the best mix to support your team. And he's also going to be talking a lot. I actually just reviewed his presentation, and it's really interesting. You won't want to miss it. He's going to be talking a lot about how those fundamentals and how your behavior styles and the different behavior styles that you have on your team can really impact and support your success using Envision and implementing truly great sustainable projects. So that's going to be one that you won't want to miss.
Have to remember to unmute my mic. And you mentioned a little bit about Frank. Frank is, he's had a lot of influence for Envision. He is on our academic committee, isn't he the chair?
He's the chair.
Yep, and he's also on our Sustain It or Explain It committee. So he keeps us on our toes.
Yes.
But I'm so impressed with his knowledge, and this is based off his research, isn't that right?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's based off his research from, again, drawing on his experience in academia from when he was a professor and working in the university setting with students, and seeing how some of the commonalities that students, particularly within the civil engineering major, have as far as their behavior styles. And I think that got him thinking as far as, well, what's going to be best met with that personality, and how you can, if you are aware of how the people on your team work, whether they're engineers or whether they're planners or architects or communications folks, if you're aware of those behavior styles, you can really lean into that and leverage them for the better.
Yeah, behavior styles, leadership, communications, we all bring different skills to the table, and being able to mend them all together and mesh them all isn't always easy. So it's always good to have some research behind it and some academia, and to know what's happening. All right, so March, though, we don't have one in March, right?
We're taking a little breather in March. We do have other stuff that we're working on, but we are pausing our webinar program for March, but we will pick things up back in April. So April, we are working with, and this one is, we're co-developing with the International Living Future Institute. So we'll have our CEO and the head of the International Living Future Institute talking about how our programs overlap and can support each other. So International Living Future Institute has programs such as the JUST program, Declare. You might be familiar with the Living Building Challenge as well. And so really talking about how those programs can be leveraged to really implement Envision across all program and project types. And then we're also going to be talking about different resources that each organization can bring to the table to really talk about how our programs can support each other.
Sounds like it's going to be good too. In April, remember that, folks.
Yes.
And if anybody, by the way, I forgot to mention, Lindsay, I usually tell the audience that if they're out there watching, we'd love to hear where they're from, put it up on, engage with us, ask any questions you might have. Even if you have a question that we can't answer, we can always, we have a host of the presenters who we are in contact with, and we can ask them. So we'll take your question, we will take it to them, ask them, and then, post it back in our social media so that you get your answer if need be. So, all right, we'll move on to the next one, May. So this one fascinates me personally. I was just on a webinar this morning listening in on investments, green investments versus impact investments, that type of thing. And so I'm really fascinated to hear about this one and what you know about it, Lindsay.
Yeah, so definitely. So John Lunty, another big influencer within the Envision community. He's on our training and credentialing community. He's been an active Envision user for quite some time, as has his employer. He's with Greeley and Hansen. He's going to be talking about how you can use Envision to drive impact investments in infrastructure. And so I think what we're seeing is investors in infrastructure want to be able to know that their investments are they want to raise their bar in their investments. And what are we investing in? Is it high quality? And how can you really use Envision to demonstrate that we are setting kind of a high bar for what our infrastructure systems are able to do and how they are able to operate in more sustainable ways to really show that you are getting that bang for your investment buck.
Unmute myself. What I found out today that I did not know was the difference was impact investing is all about trying to get a net positive for a company or an organization on a social, environmental, and an economic level. So that net positive was something I really didn't understand. So I was really glad to hear that. And I think we're going to learn a lot of really good information in this impact investment.
Definitely.
All right. And we're doing, what's great about what we have this year is the diversity in the webinars. Of course, I've only been here a year, so I don't know what we've had in previous years, but I am impressed with how diverse the offerings are this year. And good job. Kudos to you for that. Because you pick them out a lot of times. You look at everything and scan what you think is going to really blend well. So good job. So the next one, I have had this gentleman on our show, on the podcast, and this is a fascinating topic, an area we're actually moving into in the manufacturing zone. So tell the folks a little about this one and why we're excited about it.
Sure. So our June webinar, we're taking a little bit of a more narrowed focus on looking at materials, specifically aggregates. So how can we be more sustainable in our use of aggregates and our manufacturing aggregates, and what Envision has to do with all of that? So where can you have improved Envision use based on the aggregates that you're using in your projects? And so I believe, were you referring to Archie Fishel from Aero Aggregates of North America? So he'll be joined with Fariborz Tehrani, who is of the Expanded Shale, Clay, and Slate Institute, both taking a look at lightweight aggregates in terms of how they can be implemented in a sustainable way. So it goes much beyond, simply use of the aggregate and simply use of an aggregate with recycled content or that uses glass. But really, how can you get the most out of that component of that material in terms of its sustainable implementation on your project?
When Archie came on the podcast, it was so informative. And I think my brain was about to explode. There was so much. So it's always great. I can't wait for that one too. I mean, all of them are good, and all of the folks who are presenting are just I went on their LinkedIn profiles to check them all out. And boy, was I impressed. The degrees and it was pretty great. So I'm really looking forward to them. So let's see, where was I? Okay.
Gosh, and I'd add for that one, because we've got such powerhouses on, we are allowing a full hour and a half for that webinar. Typically our webinars are about an hour, but this one I want to make sure everyone is able to get into the weeds a little bit with Fibers and Archie. So we are allowing, make sure you block the time for a full hour and a half for that June 23rd webinar.
Yeah, and he's really good. I mean, I don't know some of the folks on here, but I know that you always vet them really well and their experience. But I do know Archie, and I was so impressed, and it's fun. He has got lots of pictures that I found really interesting, and some videos that I actually liked because he sped things up in how they put it into transportation projects, and it's a slow process, but he sped it all up for us, and it was really good.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're moving on to the water zone. This is, it's very popular with Envision. You can always tell some of our most popular webinars seem to be gravitating towards water and stormwater. Your area of expertise, you're an engineer by trade initially. So talk to us a little bit about what this one is with the North Water Treatment Plant.
Sure. And I think, and if we're talking about kind of like the flow of our webinar programming, these next two webinars is where we get into the project applications, the program applications. So the first one up in August, kind of on that theme, is we're going to be talking with a project team from AECOM and their work with Denver Water. So they've been implementing Envision and have used Envision to make their North Water Treatment Plant more sustainable. And so we'll be able to talk about that project, hear from the project team, their lessons learned on achieving that goal, and possibly some more about what Denver Water plans for the future.
Always good case studies
Yes.
to learn from these folks. And, we're getting those questions all the time about how people want to see these case studies. Well, here's one for you.
Yeah.
So, and you mentioned, whoops, this is right.
You got it.
The one you were kind of alluding to was this one in October, which 10/20 is my daughter's birthday. So shout out, happy birthday to my daughter early. It's on my daughter's birthday.
Great. Yeah. So we're following our August webinar with another great kind of case study look at an application to a sanitary district in California. So we're calling that Central San. So talking with HDR, Jen Nanetti is another very influential and active member of our ENVSP network. She'll be presenting with Justin Waples, who's also very active with Envision and also the WEF, the Water Environment Federation. And so they'll be talking about Envision applications in Central San, and so how the sanitary district has been able to use Envision to enhance the sustainability of their programming. So I think that one will be another great, just knowing what I know about how these folks present materials, that'll be another great nuts and bolts type of presentation with a lot of really good, solid takeaways for people that are wanting to use Envision in the same way.
Yeah, you're exactly right. These two folks are great. Jen, I actually gave a webinar with Jen on communications. And so she has really good tips on that, just how to communicate Envision. And also Justin's on our task force. So I don't know if you knew that, but yeah, so both really outstanding folks. Okay, and this is actually the last one for the year. So for December, and it's before Christmas, plenty of time before Christmas. So you get this last one in and tell us about this.
Yeah, so this is the last one that we do have scheduled for the year. We are scaling back a little bit in terms of our view, but taking a look at sustainability and resilience specifically in developing countries. And so we'll compare and contrast a little bit with what we're working on here in the United States and Canada, but then take a more close look at how we can be impactful when we're considering sustainability and resilience in developing countries, and what that truly means, and how Envision might be used in different scenarios globally. So that'll be a good one. Yeah.
All right. So every year and correct me if I'm wrong, we have 7 they're all at on Wednesdays usually. Is that right?
Generally on Wednesdays. We have 7 scheduled for this year. We do have room, so if you are so inspired, you're still welcome to reach out to me, and we'll see if we can get you into the programming. So by all means, we can still work you into the programming as well. And I like to schedule them throughout the year, recognizing that ENVSP credential maintenance is an annual thing to fulfill. Our ENVSPs will fulfill 7 hours of education every year. 5 of those hours are elective, and all of these webinars qualify for your elective. So we like to give you different opportunities to kind of pick and choose and fulfill your electives through our webinar program. So you should have some to choose from, and potentially more coming if we're able to add some more to the schedule. And yes, that last one that we have scheduled is December 1st. And with the intention of making sure that our ENVSPs have plenty of time to self-report those hours and track them toward their credential maintenance, because we know we've got a lot of ENVSPs that renew at the end of the year. So we want to make sure that everyone is supported and has the access to the education that they need to renew their credential.
Yeah, we don't want them at the last minute going, what? I have, a week, so.
As much fun as that is. I mean, I do that myself. We all do.
Yeah, no kidding. And if they want any information, of course, they can go to our website. Right on our front homepage, we have the banner that says, hey, go here, and you've got a list of all of them, and you can register right there. So, all's good. Is there anything before we close, Lindsay, that we have not talked about that you wanted to stress, or anything you think is important we need to say or reiterate?
I don't think so. I think we've covered it all. I appreciate us being able to walk through the full program, and then from there emphasizing just the importance and value of that and renewing your ENVSP credentials. So I hope I'm able to do my job well for our crew of ENVSPs and make sure that you have interesting and enticing things that can help you fulfill your credential requirements. So again, by all means, if you have ideas for us, please share them. We want to make our webinar programming meaningful and interesting to you all.
Sounds good. I hope people are watching today. Whenever you have a technical glitch and you were supposed to be on at noon, and now you're on at 1, they might have all thought we weren't coming back. But
don't be so hard on yourself. You can tell everybody that I just forgot to eat and I was hungry. That was our technical glitch.
I don't think they would believe me. They know me. They'd be like, no, it was Diane's fault. All her fault. Okay.
I did take advantage of it, and I grabbed my lunch. So
oh, good.
Maybe everybody else did too.
I was sitting there trying to figure out, what did I do wrong? I can't tell you, because I finally stumbled upon what I think I did wrong, but it's all corrected, all good. I want to mention that our next podcast is March 9th. And we are talking to the California High-Speed Rail folks about using Envision on their project. They've earned a Platinum Award. So that is our next podcast. I think this was going to be a good one too, as we show some pictures of the wonderful high-speed rail that they've got going on in California. Also talk a little bit about how there's a bill being presented that has Envision in it.
Right.
Envision usage and trying to streamline regulation around sustainability. So that's really going to be a good one, and we'll try to promote that too. But Lindsay, I cannot thank you enough today for coming on at 1, and I'm sorry again about the inconvenience that might have caused, but I appreciate it. So thank you. Of
course, anytime. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and thanks for everyone who watched, and we will see you next time.
Great.